Hello and welcome to this week's Comic Roast. I'm your host, Scott, and you can find me on Twitter at XOrsenX, and I'm here with Mike. You can find on Twitter at Review and Roast. You can find our Facebook at facebook.com/Review and Roast, and we also have Instagram at instagram.com/Review and Roast. Or for all of you tabletop Star Wars nerds out there, we also have instagram.com/Star Wars Tabletop, where we post a lot of pictures of X-Wing and Legion and Imperial Assault and Destiny and a lot of the other Star Wars board games that we currently own. We don't own them all yet, but we are getting there.
We have a lot.
We have a lot.
A real lot.
We still, and then we also have Rebellion. We have
Stuff.
the other one that you bought that we haven't played yet.
Armada.
Yep.
Mr. Pop.
We have a lot.
We almost played something.
Yeah, we almost play most of them, but we never do. We just like to talk about them. So, anywho, we are going to be back on our Hunt for Wolverine.
In stereo.
Yes. And today we're going to be talking to you about Hunt for Wolverine, The Claws of a Killer.
Circles the globe in search of a listener. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
This one, if Michael will maybe help me out here. It opens up in this small town in Arizona. Population's like 340 people. Just a bunch of lack of a better term, I guess, hillbillies. And, they're sitting at the pub, drinking some beers, talking shit about the sports game on TV. Like, my day, we used to have a team. Now we just got bodies on the field. Mm-hmm. And power goes out, so they're like, oh, goddamn Bill. It's one of those towns where everybody. Yeah. It's like, oh, well, he's working tonight, so you remember the slushy incident in 1962? Or whatever, you know what I mean? Yep. So a couple of guys go down there to check out on whoever's supposed to be working at the power station that night. And, the door is busted open, and there's some noise coming from inside. And they're like, oh, what's going on? And things don't work out too well for him, and the whole power plant goes kablooey, more or less. Mm-hmm. Not so much, I think, in a big fiery blast, but more of a
EMP type something's.
Yeah. It didn't take buildings
particle accelerator explosion,
but it wiped out the whole population of the town. Mm-hmm. Coffee time. Then cut away to we have now. I don't know the son's name. Daken. He was with
Lady Deathstrike and Sabertooth.
Okay, I recognize Sabertooth. I didn't really.
Lady Deathstrike they did have in the X-Men movie the one time as I think Kelly Hugh played her, who was actually perfect. Anyways,
yeah,
moving on.
It's been a while. So basically, they meet up with Daken, and they're like, "Hey, we know you don't like your dad, and you wish he was dead, but we think he might not be dead.
Right?
I'm picking up some sensors on my stuff that show that he's moving around. So either he was taken or he's not dead." He's like, "Well, look, nobody wants him dead more than I do, but why should I trust you two? Because they're enemies." Or I guess in this case, they're working together as frenemies. Mm-hmm. I mean, I kind of hate that term, but, it is what it is. So, after some bickering back and forth at the table, they decide to go check out the last known whereabouts from her equipment, which just so happened to be this town that just blew up across, however far away they were. I don't want to get too much into detail about, I guess, what happened to the townspeople.
Right.
But there's a military presence there.
Yeah, so it turns out that it's possible. So they're alluding in this book, for lack of a better way to explain it, that the government's up to some shit, and somebody very Wolverine-esque is assisting him in these experiments / whatever it is they're doing.
Right. Well, like I said, whatever they did to explode this power plant killed everyone in town. Right. So, you can't just send a guy in there to do that. You know what I mean? You got to send someone like a Wolverine-ish who has the regenerative
right, who can take
abilities.
Take a hit.
Yeah. So that's kind of what they've alluded to. Personally, I was never aware of Daken. I'm not super huge on the X-Men lore.
Yeah, I'm not either, other than a few odds and ends. But I have, I've mentioned this a jillion times, and I'll mention it again. I am currently reading the all-new Wolverine
With X-23.
with X-23 as Wolverine, and he makes a pop-up. You know, there's a lot of pop-ups in that book, which I actually really love because it kind of keeps you. I don't want to say in the loop, but they throw a lot of characters in there, so you see them, which is kind of the cool thing about the Hunt for Wolverine series right now is you're getting a more ensemble cast in all of these books.
Yeah.
So whether you know them or not, you're gonna get a little taste. So if you weren't aware of Daken or Lady Deathstrike, most people have heard of Sabertooth just from the first X-Men movie. Deathstrike, I think, was in the second one or whatever. Who cares? The point being is there's a lot of characters throughout this series so far that you have heard of and a handful that you haven't, but it's cool because you're getting a mix of you're getting a good eclectic view of the Marvel universe, I guess.
Yeah, I almost wonder if
There's not really a lot of bad guy action right now. I mean, it's just all heroes like trying to figure out like, hey, what the fuck? You know what I mean? That's basically what everybody's doing.
Yeah.
I mean, even though this is a table full of bad guys, but whatever.
It is, but they're almost
Bad is a relative term, depending on your point of view, I guess.
Yeah, I guess they're more like the mercenary type.
Right.
They're not bad, they're not good. They just do whatever they do for the money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to wonder too because I feel like they're doing this in some of the other books too, not just Wolverine and X-Men type stuff, but where they're introducing a lot of these other characters. And I think they're it's because the movies are a huge success, and if we want to ever bring some of these
Keep going with stuff.
Yeah, so they're just doing these books like this that bring in, 5-10 different characters per book to get the introduction. So people who are fresh out of the gate starting to read comics are starting to now get familiarized with some of these characters that maybe only the longtime readers are fans of.
I'll agree with that.
Which is kind of nice because I've only been reading comics for about 5 or 6 years now, but like I was never super heavy on like the Marvel superhero stuff. Like I have been getting pretty deep into Thor, but and Ant-Man, but not so much like the X-Men and some of the other like Avengers stuff. But anywho, back to the book.
Yep.
I suppose. It's there's really not much going on here that. It's just, these three going to find Wolverine, and they come stumbling across, a town of dead people. And now when they get here, basically what happens is Sabertooth and, what's her face? Lady Deathstrike.
Yep.
They take off in different directions, and Daken is just like, yeah, dude, I can smell him. He ain't here.
Right.
But if y'all want to go walk around, go
Do
nuts.
your thing, yeah.
He basically sits in the car, and he's like, dude, it's a town full of nobody. It's a ghost town. I'll just steal a car, and I'm going to get out of here. But before I do, I'm going to grab a drink. So he's the only one that they show getting into the mix with, coming across, like, the dead bodies and the military and trying to figure out what's going on. So we still have no idea what's going on with Sabertooth and Lady Deathstrike at the end of this book, which is obviously a good thing because now they can move on to the next book. But it was pretty interesting. And they do leave it at kind of a cliffhanger, like, oh, shit, you know what I mean? Like, what's going to happen here? As he's, meeting this, very awkward situation, I guess we'll put it that way. Overall, though, there's really not much else to it. There was a little meet, and then they're there, and then...
Yeah, and the thing I didn't like about this book was I believe we talked about in another one, is the first two... what was the first two again? Not Mandapore.
Weapon Lost and Adamantium Agenda.
Correct. In those two books, you have a very, I don't want to say well-known cast, but you have some better-known players in the game, and they do a crazy job explaining like who they are, and it's like, okay, pretty sure everyone at this point in time due to the show knows who Luke Cage is.
And Daredevil.
And everyone knows. Daredevil's been popular for a jillion years.
Right, for a minute.
Luke Cage has been one of those. He's been one of those comic book people love him type of characters for forever. That's what Iron Man was before the first movie.
Right.
It was who even knew who the guy was. You know what I mean?
Everyone knew who he was because everyone liked the Black Sabbath song.
Also true.
Although if he showed up, they'd be like, "Who's this guy?"
Right. So, but in this book, you're sitting around the table with Sabertooth, who maybe some people could figure out. Lady Deathstrike, maybe some people could figure out. And then Daken, who, if you ain't into it, you have no idea who this dude is.
Right.
So, and most likely, most people have no idea who these other two people are either. This is basically could be, you could have said it was Mildred, Fred, and Barney, and everyone would have been like, "What?" Like,
when are these movies?
Yeah.
coming?
So yeah, they did a poor job of just. I mean, it's
laying groundwork.
It's a simple one-panel explanation per character. It wouldn't even take up a full page. I mean, you could have literally boxed out the lower right corner of the conversation panel with, "Hey, this is Daken. He's this, that, and the other thing. This is Deathstrike. She was."
We'll get to it in the middle, but they did it right here with 10 characters.
Oh yeah, right.
In Madripoor.
Yeah, Madripoor. They did a full-page spread on every single female lead character in that, which it seems to be all females on that X-Men team. We'll get to that when we get to that.
Yeah, that'll be next week.
But the point being is, they just a real quick, like a one-sentence synopsis of the character. Daken, son of Wolverine, hates his fucking guts. Moving on.
Well, and here's the thing, too. Like, when it comes to the comic books, X-23 is legitimately Wolverine's daughter, right?
She's the clone.
Oh.
Daken's legitimately the son.
Okay. I thought in the comics she was legitimate, and in the movie she was a clone.
No, in the comics she's also a clone.
Okay. I mean, you gotta look at it this way. I mean, the guy is a couple hundred years old. He's probably done his fair share of boning.
He's banged. He's hit a couple.
Get it?
He's beat a few cheeks.
Bone claws. Never
Yeah.
mind.
So, anyways, the point is, he is.
Did you say he boned some cheeks?
No, beating some cheeks.
Oh, okay. That's nice too.
Anyways, with his balls. The point is what was the point?
I have no idea at this point.
He is the son. They hate each other. Well, he hates him. Blah blah blah. So the point is, they didn't really do a great job of saying like, "Hey, this is Joe Blow."
Yeah,
that's all. That was my main thing I didn't like about this book. The art's all right. It's a little dreary for me.
Yeah.
This book was.
They're a little presumptuous on what you were supposed to know.
And I get the dreary factor of the coloring and stuff in this book, but I don't know. I was sort of
it's almost got that scratchy drawing style as well.
It's not even it's just very, lots of grays and just flat colors. It's just not and I get it, I guess, but I don't know. It was very indie or something. I think that's what they were going for. I don't know.
I get it.
Yeah, it was just drab, I guess.
Yeah.
But not that it was bad. I mean, the drawings are incredible. I think it's just the coloring was a little a shade too dark, I guess. Literally, I'm not speaking figuratively here. Just like they could have just brightened the book just a smidge, and it still would have had that, because they're trying to keep an ominous tone of, "Oh, shit's popping." Like, we get it, but yeah, I don't know. It's just a little dreary. Makes it. I don't know. I just feel like you're like, there's nothing special about it. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, so, I can live with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with it, but
right.
It's not. A lot of times I up a score on a book we're reading based on something popping out. Like, oh man, like, the story was all right, but shit, if it wasn't inked well or colored awesomely or whatever. This one, none of the art specifically stands out, and the colors definitely don't, and it's not that they're bad. I just think it kept the tone a little dark, and if that's what you're going for, great. I get it. So that's all I got.
Yeah.
So in any case, though, this is also doing what all the other books in the four series is doing, is setting it up.
Yeah, and for a setup, it's again, like you said, they could have had just a smidge of an introduction for some of these guys, and it would have probably boosted it for me, because this one is going to have. I'm sure
you were sort of not scratching your head, but sort of like, all right, somebody say somebody's fucking name in this conversation.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, Daken. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
At least I can look the guy up now.
Right,
You,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
if I
'cause
wanted to know some info.
I don't think his name is in there at all.
I don't believe they actually do name his name. And I only just know it because he was in blah, 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 the all-new Wolverine like 6-7 issues ago.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I would even remember it.
Yeah.
So, anyways, yeah. I mean, that's all I got for this. I mean, it's a decent enough book. It's setting it up. It's
It leaves
the third in the 3 that we've podcasted on so far. It's the weakest. That doesn't mean it's bad. So, that's my opinion.
I'm more or less going to say that it was intriguing enough to match the worst one so far.
Which one was the worst for you?
The worst for both was Adamantine Agenda.
What do we do on that one?
We both went 6, and I'm going 6 on this.
Yeah. I'm probably going...
It was intriguing enough just because, they're looking for Wolverine. They kind of alluded to Wolverine being alive, but then there's this weird military presence that's going on. Like, nobody has a clue.
Yeah. I think I'm going 6 on this, too. And to be honest, it probably would have beat out the Agenda if
more meat.
the book grabbed me a little more. It just didn't. Nothing grabbed me. And that's not to say I'm still interested in the story. I mean, honestly, I really am. So I'm definitely going to get into it. But yeah, as far as the book as a standalone, I was like, meh.
Yeah, like I said, I understand it's a single issue and you can't write a novel in there, but the one tune in next week for Mystery in Madripoor, where that's a single issue, and my golly, they introduce literally a dozen characters, and you know who everybody is.
Right.
And it's extremely well done.
And some of them you haven't heard of them, and some of them you have, and some of them you probably only heard in passing. But
right.
yeah.
Well, we'll get into more
Done
detail
good.
of that in a minute.
Pair of 6s.
Next week. So there you have it. Claws of a Killer. It's decent. Not the best in the group yet, but it's only the first issue. So yeah, you can find me on Twitter at XSourceandX. You can find Mike at Review and Roast. And check out our Facebook at facebook.com/reviewandroast, and all of our stuff podcast-wise at comicroast.com. Other than that, we will see you later.
Yep.